So I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about information graphics and how they work in the capstone paper. I'm not expecting you to be data scientists or anything like that or to create anything super elaborate, but I do think it will help your writing to be able to work images and information graphics into your writing. So I'm going to ask everyone to try it. I'd like you to try integrating an information graphic. For some of you that are working with more qualitative projects, there's one kind of table that is super helpful for qualitative projects, and it usually goes in the methods section or the findings section, and it's a chart where you have the pseudonyms of your research participants, the folks that you interviewed, or if you did a focus group, if you have pseudonyms for the people that participated in your focus group, you have those, and then any relevant demographic information about those participants. So you give them a made-up name, a pseudonym, and then you tell us relevant information about their background, and relevant in terms of the project that you're working on. You don't need to give us their biography, but if you're studying education and it's important to know the kind of school they went to, you include that. That kind of table is super helpful because readers get kind of turned around if you have several different people that you're talking about, and it helps us anchor ourselves to your project. Like we can go back to that table and say, oh, that's who that person is. So that's super helpful for qualitative projects. Those of you that want to represent data, and everyone is going to need to make an attempt at that, I'm going to switch screens here in a second, and I'm going to show you some data that I worked with Aubrey Boland on her project for a celebration of scholarship presentation. So hold on one sec. So Aubrey's project is one where she was taking a look at a couple TikToks by a pretty influential influencer that does videos about body positivity, Spencer Barbosa. So she found two TikToks, and she wanted to take a look at the comments on those TikToks and what were folks doing with those comments. So she went through and she coded everything, and I'll show you all the data over here. Here's the code book. Here's the all of the data that she coded for one of the videos. This is for the first video, and then we have all of them here, so it's tons, and then she coded them here. This final chart, sort of data for graphic, just kind of a simple, everyone should be able to do something like this, to have, here are the codes, here are the number of times that I coded a segment, a clause, a T-unit, whatever, with that code. So this is what she had for hers, 223 segments in total, and you see what was the highest here. It doesn't really matter what the categories are right now. But I want to show you how to take this and turn it into an information graphic. So you highlight the data that you want to work with. So I want these two columns here, and you go to Insert, and you go to Recommended Charts. You can start with that, and you kind of take a look and see what might be helpful. I think this right here, if you can see that is really fussy, and it's going to be really hard to kind of understand what's going on there. This is also kind of confusing, I think, as well. So I think the top one, what they recommended, is actually not that bad. You could also do something like this, but I think this kind of like, it puts the emphasis on the coded segments. So we're going to say, okay, let's do that. There's a few things I'd like you to learn how to do to manipulate this, not in terms of like to cheat the numbers or anything like that, but to change this up so that it's a little bit smarter. So one thing you might want to do is like, do you really need all of these? So maybe you just choose the top 8. So the way that these are sorted right now, the most is up top, and then the fewest, the codes with the fewest is down here, and that's based off what it looks like over here in the Excel spreadsheet. So if you want to switch that, you would just go and you would sort this data differently than you had it. So we want to, let's say we just want to do the top 8. So we would deselect the stuff that, so we would count 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So anything that's beyond that, we just want to get rid of. And there's a little apply button down here when we do the filter. So we want to apply the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Anything that's not in the top 8, we're going to deselect. Click apply, and we've got fewer there. That's a little bit easier to handle on the eyes. A few other things that I'd like you to learn how to do and to kind of play with, things like adding a data labels. So data, and that might be fine. You might want to increase the size of those, so you click on them so everything is highlighted there or selected, and you might say I want all that to be 12 or something like that. That might be, particularly if you're going to present this, it might be a little bit easier for folks to understand. Some other things that you might want to play with is to include access titles. So over here on the left, it might be codes, and then down here, frequency of segmented codes or something like that down here. It helps readers kind of understand what this data is. Assuming that you're going to put this in your paper, these titles are pretty helpful. It means less explanation in the body of your text. You should still be talking about your information graphic in your essay. It shouldn't just be in there as filler, but the access titles can help folks orient themselves and understand what it is you're trying to accomplish. Okay. Oh, there's other things that you could play with around like data tables. That's where it puts the data down below. To do that here would be kind of fussy. It would be a little too much. A legend, I guess you could do that as well. Semi-coded segments if you have different categories. I don't know if you need to get into that, but I want to see folks make a good faith attempt here. That's what I wanted to show you about information graphics. There's folks that study this, and there's a lot more to be said here and to do here. So I'll link to an article that I found pretty helpful in thinking about information graphics and teaching folks how to use them and integrate them into their writing. That word integration is an important one. It shouldn't be the graphic that you put together shouldn't be one that you are throwing into your essay. It should be integrated into your essay where you're talking about it a little bit. You're making it part of your essay. And again, it's not just something that's taking up space or filler. It should help. It should help your paper's case. It should help readers understand your data and understand your project. So I'd like you to get, again, like I said, make a good faith attempt. I'm not looking for perfection, but if you'd like to talk about how to put one together for your project, I'd be happy to do that. All right, that's it for now.